Everybody, it's Brady from Late Weather Forecast, and today I'm going to be doing an update on the potential blockbuster winter storm that could be upcoming from the Northeast. Before I start, I'm not going to have a snow map out at the moment. I'll release one later on Twitter, maybe tonight, maybe tomorrow night. We'll see how it goes. I just want to play out a couple of different scenarios that might happen with this, and also what I think is going to happen, or what's looking like is what's likely going to happen. And we're just going to take a look at what some of the models are suggesting, and then I'll give my thoughts of how accurately I think they're depicting it. I'm also not going to show the GFS. A lot of people want to talk about the GFS. I don't. I don't want to show that. I'm not going to show something that's going to most likely be an accurate solution. So that's why I will not be showing the GFS. But I will be showing. We're going to start off with the CMC, the Canadian model, and we'll see we got a little bit of snow, a coating to 3 inches across much of the region today, depending on where you live, how much you mix. I think the best bet where you go is eastern PA, northern Jersey, Hudson Valley, margins of southwest Connecticut, probably where the highest totals will be for today's accumulation. But a general 1 to 2 inches around the area is a good bet of accumulation. This will be light stuff. If you haven't switched over yet across many of the interior areas, you will very soon. And that's just to briefly cover today's situation. But let's play it out. And I actually want to go to here. Yep, so I am going to go to the 500 millibar vorticity just so we can look at what's going on with this. So we'll go about 48 hours out. And I'm going to compare some of the different models to see. And we've seen this very consistently in the CMC model. We go back to all the different runs here, but the amplification process has been around the same. We can see right now, there's nothing crazy, no crazy digging in the trough right now, but we're about to see that change. We'll see this start to tilt negatively, and the CMC, you can see those height lines start to tilt negatively, and we can see the just a strong piece of energy and a strong wave of energy going to come in, and we're going to look for it to see if that upper level low closes off. It's looking like it will, and on the CMC run it eventually does, and you can see where it does, right over extreme southern New England here, but it does also earlier. And this is just some of the things we're looking at. Above the surface, I guess, in some of the upper air dynamics. But we can also look at 700 millibar height vorticity, and what this does is a great indication of where the most lift is happening. We can look at where the banding, and so we can see the CMC here. We'll zoom in here, and you can see that the Canadian, some of the banding, you can see exactly where that is, right across eastern Pennsylvania, Hudson Valley. That's where our strongest banding is happening, and you can look at this feature and it's going to apply to every single model where the heaviest banding is setting up. And then you can also look at just a regular 700 millibar vorticity, and usually the heaviest banding is just to the north of it, and that applies to right here as well. You can see where the heaviest banding sets up if we continue to play this out. And I don't kind of just going in phrases here, but I just want to paint a picture for some of the things that we're looking for in this system when we're looking for big time snowfall accumulations in certain areas. And that this is a commonality right now between all the models, besides the GFS, is these intense banding features we're seeing on some of these 700 millibar vorticity height images. And it's very, very impressive. A strong upper level low, and this has the potential to be a very big blockbuster snowstorm. So if we're to play the run out here, we don't want to slide that far back. But I'm going to use the CM. I'm not going to use any other models. I decided I might use the RGM just to paint the picture of what kind of banding setup we might have. But we can see this. I don't know if it's going to be a sleep fest for Eastern Maryland, for DC. It might be, it's possible, but I don't have any confidence in my forecast for DC right now. I couldn't. You could put a gun to my head. I couldn't give you a forecast for DC right now. It's never what happens. So I'm sorry, DC fans. I know you probably want to hear something else, but we can see how that banding. You ever see? Here's a good rule of thumb. You ever see pinks on pivotal? It is going to puke. If you ever see pinks, it's going to puke. That's puke snow, to be clear. And we can see exactly where that banding is, and I bet if we went to the 700 millibar velocity, the height lines, we could see, not exactly the height lines, but we can see exactly where that banding sets up. What do you know? Exactly right there. So that's something you look for when you look above the surface and play it out. We can see it continue, and then it just, the CCB, the cold conveyor belt band, just decays right over southern New England and this model run, and I think that's a very plausible scenario. I don't know how far north that banding will go. I also think another band is going to set up in the interior. It's never modeled, it's never forecasted well, but it shows up on every storm. There's a band that sets up, and I bet it will set up over central Pennsylvania. It'll set up over upstate New York, and across Binghamton, Albany, just east of State College, a little bit east of State College probably, and into southern Vermont, and just decay probably over southern New Hampshire and Vermont. And decay is kind of what you want here, because that means the band's setting up over you. If it's not decaying over you, that means the band's not setting up over you. So when I use that term, it's really a good thing for snow lovers. That's what you want to hear. But we're not looking at a crazy strong low pressure system here. We're talking about something probably in the mid 990s, mid upper 990s possibly. Maybe mid 990s might be a little bit of a stretch, but something in the mid to upper 990s in terms. But we're gonna have the high pressure is going to be building the Canadian high. That's going to be working its way. It's a strong high pressure system that's going to be working against, and we're going to see those against the low pressure. I'm just using it. It's going to battle, and it's going to create those isobars to really tighten up. You slide back, and we can see kind of with the isobars. You see how they're kind of drawn out, and they're not very tight in gradient. Well, let's play it out a little bit. You can see those isobars really tighten up, and the tighter those isobars get, that's likely where some of your strongest wind is going to happen. Where blizzard conditions could be possible for some folks along the coast, and even some places a little bit inland. I wouldn't be surprised. Inland places in New Jersey, Hudson Valley, Connecticut, Rhode Island, see some potential blizzard conditions as well, and for sure, coastal Massachusetts will have a chance for some blizzard conditions. I'm not going to say it's going to be a blizzard or their blizzard warnings will be up, but blizzard conditions at times is becoming more and more likely. And if you really want to see snowfall totals, I can show you, but probably a little bit overdone. I'm not going to use 10 to 1. Don't use 10 to 1 for the very specific reason that's not how it ever shapes up. So we play this out, and 1 to 2 feet across much of the area here in this setup, and obviously 30 inches probably not going to be a swath of 30 inches. It's possible, but unlikely. So I think we're going to be looking at just some big time snowfall totals potentially here. I would bet on a good solid swath of 12 to 18 plus across much of the Northeast and Southern New England. I would bet a good amount of what I have right now on some setup like that happening. So we're going to continue to watch this play out here, and we're going to continue to follow the modeling, but we've got a long ways to go on